So before you guys check out this video that we have today, kindly check out first our Silver 9's early access guide as well as the Elation MC's early access guide to understand more in depth as to how their kits are going to be working. This video is specifically going to be addressing whether or not Silver 9 requires Sparxie or Yao Guang more as of the current setup we have, which is going to be testing against two different Member Chaos 12 content. So we're going to be doing this test first round, which is against Nikador on the current MOC buff where we do have the additional punchlines, comparing Silver 9 with Sparxie as well as EMC as well as Hui, and then later on we're going to be changing our Sparxie into Yao Guang so that we can see the damage comparisons, right? And then subsequently for another showcase, I'll show you guys on the upcoming MOC 12, which is going to be against the Pom Pom, which I already showcased in my Silver 9 guide, but just to quickly go through in-depth step by step as to how exactly are they going to be differing when it comes to their rotation, right? So when it comes to our investment cost, every single one of these units here are going to be at E0S1, no exceptions. And then for EMC, we're just going to be going for the E6 as well as the S5 Herda Star Lycon, right? So without further ado, let's just first get into our run with Silver 9, Sparxie, Trailblazer, and Hui. So in case you guys are still wondering whether or not EMC is going to be better or worse when compared to Yao Guang or Sparxie, just know that for the current best in slot, it is definitely going to be running both Sparxie as well as Yao Guang in the same team. So this is really more so of a side grade as to how much of a comparison are you going to be talking about if you're not going to be running either of the other two Elation Premium 5 stars, right? So with that out of the way, we're just going to open up with our rotations right here. Hui ultimate is always going to be cast very easily, and because this time we actually do get hit quite often, we are able to get ourselves a turn 0 ultimate, which is very nice. So for this particular instance, we actually do want to just immediately activate our EMCs out, but unfortunately we're not going to be able to get ourselves the last 5 punchlines, which will prevent us from getting our ultimate immediately, but it's going to be fine. So we are still going to be able to cast our ultimate right here. And then this will immediately get in with the additional damage we'll be seeing, right? For this current damage, it's going to be quite low because we are not going to be at 60 hidden MMR or even 120. So our damage is going to slowly start to ramp up over time. So this is going to be our next AHA instance, which is going to be the natural AHA instance over here. Coming back down for a decent amount of 488k damage. This is gonna be pretty awkward because this little minion didn't die, but because it's gonna be from bounce targeting, we are just gonna roll with this. And then we can just let this go. Very nice. And then we can just activate this. Hui actually works very well against the wolf specifically because you can always cleanse with a debuff, so you don't really have to worry about him by that much, right? So we're just gonna keep on doing our basic attack, cast our skill for additional energy regeneration. Okay, he's just gonna give us a little bit more energy, and we should be able to easily clear this guy from this rotation because we do have 120 NR. You can see our damage went up substantially, more than doubling the original multipliers because of our hidden NR state. Alright, then our next EVA is gonna be where Silver 9 is gonna transform out of this state, which is gonna be okay because we are gonna be saving our EMC's ultimate so that we can jump back into action as fast as possible. Alright, so Sparx is just gonna continuously do Sparxie things. Remember to save at least like 1 skill point for Hui so that she can get the ultimate a little bit. Alright. And then we should be able to get ourselves a pretty comfortable 0 cycle. So that is going to be that. And then the remaining blasts we can actually carry forward to the next wave, which is quite nice. So this is going to slam in. And then we are going to dispel from our state over here. So from this point on, it's actually kind of chill because our Hui can actually give us an ultimate for EMC, which then allows my EMC to get the ultimate of Silver Wolf. And then Silver Wolf should ideally try to get back into the 60s hidden MR as fast as possible. Okay, that's going to be 46. We are pretty much going to be able to guarantee this once the punchline is going to come in over here. So we don't have to worry about it. This is going to be 50. AHA is going to generate. So this will definitely be giving us the 60 hidden MMR. Okay, one more time, activate this. So this is going to instantly refund us back to 93. So this is already an SS rating, which is quite good. And then we are just going to deal tons of damage from this point onwards, essentially bypassing Nikador's very first phase for 1.83 million. And that is very nice, right? So we're going to wait for him to spawn all of the pillars. Okay, once the pillars are going to spawn, our Sparxie is going to go in. And then ideally, you basically want to target out the spears for Nikador. This one is going to be the one where Sparxie is going to be there, so that we can just do a little bit more damage, right? So we're going to slam all of this. 400k gets us a little bit more skill points from the TLBs. And then we can just slam more TLBs, which gives us a substantial amount of skill point regeneration. And that is very, very nice, right? 1.1 million. Where I am actually just gonna be able to go ahead and cast my basic. Because out of my basic, we should be able to get ourselves the War Armor break, which is gonna be very nice. And this should give me the additional energy required to cast my EMC ultimate later on, right? So I'm just gonna let this take on a little bit here. Okay. Okay. Okay, then this is gonna slam back down. Because Nikador is gonna be able to hit us in just a little bit, I'm just gonna activate my ultimate right now because we are gonna be getting a substantial amount of energy after Huiwen comes in, right? So 1.9 million, very, very nice. Pop over our ultimate first just to generate our energy as fast as possible. And there's just gonna be a little bit more AoE. Sparxie is just gonna go ahead and, okay, because we really want to break off the spears, because it is gonna be dealing percentage max HP damage, we'll just let this go. Okay, very, very good. TLB gives me even more skill points. Very, very nice. MOC debuff is going to be helping us get into phase 2, which is going to be just nice for my Silver Wolf over here, right? So I'm going to let him summon all of the goons. Okay, so I will first let this go, because once this thing goes away, we're going to reset all of our hidden MMR. So I want to start a fresh slate so we can transform back to ultimate as fast as possible, right? So now that we got that out of the way, Huiwen can come in with her skill, because I do want to cast my ultimate as fast as we can. And this is going to come in for another blast over here. Then this should be giving me the additional energy required. Okay, very, very good. Which would then pop my Silver Wolf ultimate immediately. So like I mentioned, you do not want to wait for Silver Wolf's ultimate on her turn. You do not want to waste the extra turn. The moment you get ultimate, you just instantly cast them without any delay, so that you do not waste any of your certified bangers initially, right? So now that we are going to be slamming back down immediately, big amount of AoE blast, and then we can just throw off our damage at this point. Not a lot of min-maxing to be concerned with here. 2.37 million, because we are able to essentially break the spears. This is gonna be involving the 2 middle spears. I think Sparxie should be able to easily get rid of her spear. Maybe even the one with RMC. Okay, that is quite nice. Gets a little bit more AoE. Gets a little bit more AoE. Whoever is gonna cast her ultimate right here. Okay. So because this is going to be a really weakness broken, I'm just going to go for a basic attack just to do a little bit more percentage max HP damage. Okay, this is going to come in, 120 hit MMR. Very, very good. And then he's going to slam back down with another AoE. So from this point onwards, we are just going to let this go, let this go, let this go, let everything go. And then we'll just try to deal as much damage as possible and see if we can get ourselves the 1 cycle dispatch, because we have one last bounce remaining, right? So we're just going to pop this over here. One last Silver Wolf Breath attack, and that is going to come down to not nearly quite enough, unfortunately. So this is going to be a, I wouldn't say a close 2 cycle, or rather a close 1 cycle, but it is still a pretty comfortable 2 cycle dispatch for our Silver 9 with the team running with Sparxie, right? So I'm not going to change anything. I'm just going to immediately jump out, and then I'll show you guys the performance where I take away Sparxie for Yao Guang instead. So this is going to be our Yao Guang build, which is going to be, unfortunately, we didn't really hit the 200 speed over here because the rates are not going to be perfect. We're just going to be temporarily running this with a Von Weg to fix our problems by a little bit. So in the real life server, if you guys do have access to a 200 speed Von Weg, then you can maybe get that one additional action for wave 1 in case you guys cannot 0 cycle wave 1. Alright, so now we're going to come in. Okay, we got the autonomous attack one, which is going to be a little bit unlucky, so we're just going to let it as it be. The good thing about Yao Guang is that because the moment you activate ultimate into your basic attack, you will get this debuff as well as the rest of your elation skill procs on top of Silver Wolf's own hidden MMR. So the rotation is actually really, really fast, especially with a turn 1. You can see my ultimate is already ready, but this is mainly because of the MOC buff. If you do not have the MOC buff right now, then this is going to be waiting for a little bit while. But since this is going to be happening right now, we are just going to simply cast our skill into our ult. We're not even going to wait for our EMC anymore. Instantly jumping back in. Okay, so this is just gonna give us all the damage. Very, very nice. So this is gonna be 600k. Now we're just gonna pop open this 1 out of 6 so that we can get the energy for War Armor. And then because I know for a fact that Silver Wolf is definitely gonna be able to retain our ultimate 2 more times, which means we should be able to get ourselves the Elation MC's ultimate very soon. So there's not going to be any wastage in that sense, right? So this is going to be another 71 big hit from our Elation Blast. Yao Guang applying the debuffs to help our entire team deal a little bit more damage. Silver9 is just going to slam back in with the 132 stacks of the hidden MMR at this point, which means we have reached our maximum efficiency, right? So from this point onwards, I'm just going to purely target the guy in the middle. But this bounce attack targeting is not going to be something that you can manage anyways, so you don't have to worry about it too much, right? 1.75 million. Where you are pretty much just going to be able to guarantee ourselves the kill the moment Silver Wolf's turn happen. So I'm actually just going to be able to cast my skill. Alright, so that we can get ourselves a little bit more damage, because Silver9 over here is definitely going to be able to get us a kill here, right? So I want to give us a little bit more energy for Huehue going to the next wave. So this is definitely going to be enough. And then we have one last hit over here, which can pretty much just be used against Nikador himself, which is very nice. Right, so this is going to make him transform. My Aha instance is going to pop in over here. Okay, which should give us the War Armor Break on Nikador. Okay, that's going to be a good amount of hidden MMR. Silver9, you're just going to be popping your skill. We have to kind of wait here a little bit. We don't really have a choice. So once my Yao Guang casts her ultimate, this is where Silver Wolf will be getting the hidden MMR right here, right? So that's going to be quite nice. Okay, I actually kind of want to wait a little bit so that we can generate a little bit more punchlines right here, so that I can get a higher hidden MMR, so that we can convert into the tracers a little bit faster. Alright, then this is just gonna bomb back in for a 120% multiplier DPA, for a 1.3 million against Nikador. We can pop this, activate our ult. I would say that just now, if you wanted to save your EMC certified bangers, or rather the ultimate, after Silver transforms, that is also going to be fine, because you essentially get one more proc of the Aha instance, right? Because you do get the elation skill proccing. For the enhanced elation skill, you're definitely going to be dealing way more damage. So not too big of a difference anyways, because Nikador having some spears, so we kind of have to deal with all of the spears right here in order to deal the highest possible amount of damage, right? So this is going to be having all of the debuffs from Yao Guang's elation skill as well, which will help me deal with the spears a little bit better, right? 5 million damage, which is very exceptional, but definitely because of the addition of the... Okay, because I do need to get off this War Armor Break, so I don't really have a choice. Just going to pop this in, get off the break, and hopefully with the additional Silver Wolf bounce, we should be seeing phase 2 right here, which will be very nice, because we just killed the spears. Okay, unfortunately we didn't kill the spears here, so maybe the Aha instance can get us a spear kill. Okay, very nice. So this is gonna just instantly jump it into the next wave, bringing back down our ultimate. Not a very high amount of damage, because we kind of need to wait for him to spawn all of the stuff, right? Our sustain so far still looks to be very manageable. So from this point on, my Silver Wolf is definitely going to be running out from her hidden MMR. So it is actually a perfect timing, because this means that we are going to be dealing a lot of damage on spears over here, which is going to be quite nice, right? Then from this point on, we just kind of want to activate our ultimates with Yao Guang as soon as possible, so that we can jump back into my Silver Wolf ultimate as soon as possible. So this activates the Aha skill. Hopefully we have enough energy for EMC to cast their own Aha skills, especially with a Huehue ultimate. Alright, Huehue. We are just gonna basic here, just to do a little bit more War Armor stacks, so that we can regenerate our energy like this. And then after EMC is gonna be going in, unfortunately I don't think this is gonna be enough to get our ultimate. Yep, so it is what it is. We will just activate this, then we'll cast our ultimate immediately, so that we can activate before the next Aha instance. And then my Silver Wolf's elation skill should be able to deal the enhanced elation skill damage. Alright, absolutely badonkadonks 5.9 million, getting off the spears. So one last target for Nikador, and this should be a very straightforward one cycle dispatch. Alright, that's absolutely fantastic. One last elation skill, Silver Wolf slams that down. So you guys can see that just from the Nikador fight itself over here, we are going to be clearing one entire cycle faster than Sparxie, which aligns with my finding back for my Silver9's original guide, where I basically said for Pom Pom as well, this was also the similar results, where I was able to get a one cycle faster clear using Yao Guang as well as EMC, instead of running Sparxie and EMC. And for my original guide, the main reason is pretty much just because EMC's role can actually synergize synergize extremely well with Yao Guang because EMC does give us a substantial amount of punch lines, which was what initially Sparkle was supposed to do anyways. And then on top of that, Yao Guang does have the additional vulnerability debuff, which will help us amplify Silver Knight's damage by a substantial amount as well, right? So that is pretty much it. We are now just gonna jump into the next team. Okay, you know what, guys? Since we already did Pom Pom, I already showed you guys that Pom Pom we did a 3-cycle dispatch with Sparxie, as well as a 2-cycle dispatch with Yao Guang. I'm just gonna straight away jump into another MOC fight which you guys have not seen before, and that is gonna be set, right? And then one last fight towards the end. I think I'll just show you guys Apocalypse Shadows just to see the exact action value difference. Then we can wrap up this video right here. So for this showcase, it is gonna be a little bit more annoying. Number one being this buff for MOC, like I mentioned, it is not gonna be designed for Elation as a whole because it is gonna be mainly for even Nisia as well as her ultimate damage, right? And Silver Knight really doesn't give a shit about ultimate damage at all, so it is definitely going to be a more difficult fight compared to previous, right? So you can see over here, my EMC actually doesn't really get quite enough energy, literally missing 1 energy to cast my ultimate, which is a really unfortunate because we kind of do need that 1 energy in order to get myself the ult so that I can cast this for Silver Knight. And then we are going to be able to get ourselves the ultimate on the next AHA instance. Alright, so this is going to come in. Alright, then this is going to give me my AHA instance. We are just going to immediately jump in, no waiting whatsoever. And then just deal as much damage as possible. Now, the problem for the very first wave is that they are going to be having the Manta Ray. So the moment Manta Ray reaches 5 out of 5 and bro starts stacking the death stunts, it is going to be a little bit annoying to deal with, right? So we are going to be getting a little bit of TLB. Gets off a Sparkle ultimate. Stack is going to be looking quite nice. Bro is going to action very advanced. There's not a lot of things that we can do to stop that, so we'll just let him go. The 2 goldfishes that he summons does give us a substantial amount of energy, which is always going to be very nice. So at this point, I kind of want to just attack this guy as fast as possible so that we can bring up his action value to deal a little bit more DOT, right? He's going to aim your highest attacking DPS, so it's always going to be Silver 9. And then we're just going to slam our bombs. The damage over here is definitely going to be a lot lower because of death stunts. But it is what it is. 3 out of 4 comes back in, and then the AHA instance is going to come in for another substantial amount of damage. Okay, and then we're gonna come in the roar. Very nice, which does in fact give us the 100 action value required, or rather 153 hidden MMR. For this ultimate, we're just gonna pop this into 09 right now so that she can pop on another blast, which is very nice. And then we're gonna start charging our next ultimate for the next rotation. So because the deal with Sparkle is I always want to bring bro up as fast as we can so that he can take the DOT damage. I'm just gonna slam all in, which is gonna be very nice. One of the fish is probably gonna be dead over there. Just take the hit like a champion. Slams in another ultimate. Alright, very good. So I think that is gonna be bombas for both units. Okay, now we're just gonna continuously attack the Manta Ray so that we can bring bro up. Alright, so EMC continues to skill for a little bit more energy regeneration. Then Silver Knight is definitely gonna be able to dispel this state right here. So barely just enough for a 0-cycle dispatch, if I can say so myself, right? Damage dealt is gonna increase. Bro is gonna activate the action value advance. He dies over here. I kind of want to hope to gain a little bit more energy as well as action value, or rather skill points. See if that's gonna be possible. So I am just going to save this right now for as much as I can, right? Because we already know that he's definitely gonna be dying to 1 more of Silver Knight's basic attack, so this is gonna be fine. Alright, for this one we can actually just go for the basic because we're definitely gonna be getting enough skill points. See if Sparkle can kill here. If Sparkle cannot kill, I'm just gonna be activating my Silver Knight's ultimate. Right, see if this is possible. Okay, unfortunately not quite possible. So we are just gonna use this, but luckily for us we do have the overkill damage protection. So this is gonna be very nice. And because we are gonna be in this, we can't really cast our EMC ultimate anymore, so it is what it is. Gets in a little bit more damage, gets in a little bit more damage, gets in a little bit more damage. Very nice. Okay, for this point on, I do want to activate my additional AHA instance right now. before Bro summons all of his bugs, which will be a little bit annoying, right? So this gives me the action value advance. We are just gonna start dealing as much damage as possible against the goons. Hopefully we can dispel all of the different bugs, right? Which honestly is definitely gonna be a little bit of a concern. Alright, because the damage is gonna be a lot lower. Right, this is gonna be a lot lower. 58 punch lines. We are able to just activate my Silver Ultimate immediately with almost 0 downtime, which is absolutely fantastic. Gets us the Hui Hui Ultimate. And then Silver 9 is just gonna be able to deal the Silver 9 dicks. Alright, looks like our bugs are still not dying anytime soon, and we can't really crit, so our damage is definitely gonna be falling off pretty substantially over here, if I can say so myself, right? So we're just gonna slam all in, gets us a little bit more splash damage, which at this point is just gonna be really low because I can't crit. Oh my god, I ran out of water, so I don't know what to do. Just finish up this run. 800k. Still, none of the bugs have disappeared, which is honestly very concerning. Hopefully, they can actually hit EMC. Okay. EMC is going to be really good. So this will then allow my Silver 9's bounce skill to target the bugs a little bit, even though it's just going to be 20, but some damage is better than no damage, right? Another aha instance to deal with the bugs. Alright, 219k. This comes back down. We are still waiting for Bro to basically get rid of the bugs, which I actually have no idea when that is going to take place, but we will be trying our very best, because this boss is just really not good with Silver 9, especially when you're running with Sparxie. Alright, hopefully this will then allow the MOC debuff, pops the bugs. Okay, this will definitely kill all of the bugs because they were all at a very low amount of HP. Alright, then this finally gets us the break. Bro is gonna transform out. Hui Hui is gonna eventually cast her ultimate. So this is gonna be basic, into and out. He is gonna be delayed for a while, but unfortunately I don't think we're gonna be able to do enough damage to get rid of him within one break. So we are likely going to be seeing a second phase in just a bit. Alright, we are gonna pop this, and then when Sparxie gets us all of the punch lines, we can pretty much just go for the Silver 9 ultimate. So now we can cast our ultimate, cast our punch lines, cast our trail, cast our out, and then we are just gonna start slamming as much as possible now that we're gonna be a single target. Okay, 700k, which honestly is really just not that impressive. I believe we should be able to get enough, so this basic is going to give me my ultimate. And then we are just going to pop open another certified banger. Alright, 600k, and this is going to be bringing us down to 50%. Which honestly, it has been taking quite a while. Alright, that is still a good amount of damage. And then Bro is going to be recovering very soon over here. Alright, 26%. We'll just pop open our basic. Alright, Sparxie is gonna activate Sparxie things. Unfortunately, not quite enough damage to basically get this guy gone within 3 cycles, because he's definitely gonna be able to respawn right here. Alright, he's gonna pop. He's gonna choose a guy. We kind of have to pick Silver Wolf. Don't really have too big of a choice over here, so we can ideally deal with the bugs as much as possible. Okay, 14%. AoE damage is gonna come in, see if he hits Hui Hui. That's fantastic. Alright, he's gonna get this aha instance. Alright, Sparxie goes in for a little bit more. I do need my Silver 9 ultimate as fast as possible. Okay, we're still gonna be at 49. So once EMC casts an ultimate, then this is definitely gonna be enough. Right, so we're just gonna be going for the basic. And then this will definitely give me enough to cast my ult. Alright, now we can finally go back in, saving the additional skill points for Sparxie just to generate us a little bit more punchlines. Okay. Very, very good. And then Sparxie is just gonna keep aiming Sam. Hopefully we can get this in a 4-cycle dispatch. Alright, TLB is gonna be proccing multiple times. That's fine. That's fine. He is about to become really angry, which is basically right here. Hopefully my Sparxie does not die. Holy, that is a scary amount. Thankfully we do have Huan getting a little bit of Nova Flare. But this was definitely a little bit hard to watch, I would say. Right, because Harbinger of that Swarm Disaster, or rather Calamity Boss Sam, it is just really a very bad matchup for Elation DPS because you can only get a single unit as your main DPS. Alright, gets us another 70 AHA instance. Alright, Blast is gonna go in. Hopefully this will be enough to get me all of the mobs out of the situation. Alright, we are actually almost there. Okay, just barely gets the energy for my EMC, which is a little bit unfortunate. See if Sparxie gets the kill on that little bug over there, which is gonna be quite nice. Okay, I think unfortunately that is pretty much it. So, ooh, it looks like, yeah, this fight is gonna be quite rough. Although we finally managed to break off all of the Swarm Disaster King, just barely getting ourselves a 4-cycle. If the RNG for the bug there actually died like one more time, I think this could have been a pretty decent 4-cycle-ish. Although at this point we are already running out of our additional bangers as well as punchlines. So I do need to just get back into my ornament as fast as possible. But it's not like he's going to be taking a turn anyway, so I think at this point we can kind of just call it with a 5-cycle dispatch running Sparxie as well as EMC against a non-shield boss on a non-shield environment, right? So I would say this is about as neutral as it gets at this moment. And now we're just going to simply swap out Sparxie into Yao Guang, and then we'll see how the performance is going to be looking. Alright, so this is going to be the same team setup against the Calamity boss, running Yao Guang instead of Sparxie. I would say that the main differences right here is that we do have access to our first turn ultimate, which would make our rotations a lot faster compared to Sparxie. Because you guys saw just now when we were running with Sparxie, this was pretty much almost impossible to obtain. But now that we do have the additional elation skill from Yao Guang, as well as the ultimate from Po, we are gonna be guaranteed ourselves the Silver Wolf ultimate before Silver Wolf's turn, which I would say that is gonna be quite substantial. Let me just check my energy real quick. This is gonna be 21, so that is gonna be more than sufficient. Let's just come this over here, get us the ultimate, so the EMC should be getting us enough to just pop this on. Okay, we are just gonna instantly give Silver Wolf the ultimate. Whether you cast your ultimate before or after, it doesn't really matter that much because you're gonna be transitioning into this state anyways. Ideally, you want to wait for after you enter into the form so you can get one more hit of the enhanced elation skill instead of the normal elation skill, right? So you can just do a little bit more damage. So 923, that is gonna be quite good. We are gonna be taking quite a substantial amount of damage, around half health as of this moment, which can be a little bit scary, but so far we should be able to manage quite nicely. Alright, Yao Guang is just gonna be going for the basic. Silver Wolf's damage is actually absolutely absurd at this current moment. Holy shit. God damn. Okay, our damage is definitely gonna be substantially higher with Silver Wolf on the Yao Guang location. However, we can honestly just go for the skill so we can get our ultimate as fast as possible. Also get ourselves a TLB, which is quite nice. Then when the fish hits us, we're just gonna be getting a little bit more energy, which is gonna be very, very nice. So at this point, I just want to save my Silver Wolf ultimate so that I can basically get the refund and get back into the ultimate state as fast as we can, right? So this is with dev stance, which is why our damage is going to be lowered, but it doesn't really matter that much. This comes down and we are going to be getting our AHA instance, which should allow us to get a relatively straightforward 0 cycle on the wave 1. Okay. So for this particular point, I do want to just activate my skill. The energy is a little bit awkward, but I want to hit this so that they can actually action value advance and bring us up afterwards. So I would just go ahead and cast this. We'll bring this up. Okay. Okay, from this point on, I want to activate my Yao Guang ultimate first, followed by my Huan Huan ultimate. Okay. And this will give me my MMR. If I were to activate Silver Ultimate just now, it would be a little bit wasteful. So it's gonna be okay. So at this point, once I hit them, this guy's gonna action value advance. But I actually don't believe it's gonna be that big of a deal. So I will let him come up first. Alright, just take a little bit more damage. Okay. And we can pop open our ultimate. Alright, just for as much energy as we can, and then hopefully this does get us the 0 cycle, because I think it should be enough right here when the fish is... Oh, the fish unfortunately does not die, which is going to be a little bit unfortunate. Okay, so just barely getting us that 0 cycle, which I would say is really literally just barely. So if we had that little bit more damage, that would have definitely sufficed. But we are just gonna go into our next wave. Considering that was our first try, I would say that if I would tune it a little bit better, that would have been our first try 0 cycle wave 1. But I think just right off the get-go, it is very, very obvious that the team with Yao Guang is definitely gonna be dealing substantially higher damage as compared to Sparxie at this current moment, right? So now he's gonna transform, definitely picking up silver 9. We're just gonna activate off our damage. And now because we are gonna be running Yao Guang, our additional elation buffs actually does help our skill offer damage a little bit faster, because we don't really care if Yao Guang and EMC don't get it out, since at the end of the day, the additional damage amplification from Yao Guang can basically help my Silver Wolf get her ultimate as well her personal damage higher, right? So, and Zero is the one gonna be our main crit DPS anyways. So this is a very, very nice setup instead of relying on Sparxie as the sub DPS. So this should give us the full HMMR. So we're just gonna start slamming all in. And that is gonna be giving us a very nice 1.2 million, about 1/3 of the HP for the bucks, which is gonna be quite good. A little bit more skill point regeneration, that's fine. Yao Guang is just gonna continuously do our basic attack, and then Silver Wolf is just gonna continuously do Silver Wolf things. And I think by my 3rd Silver Wolf EBA, we should be starting to look into breaking the bucks, hopefully. Alright, gets us one more of this pop, and then this 66 Aha Elation will be dealing a lot more of the debuffs. Alright, that's gonna be fine. Gets in the Dragon Bounce. Very, very good. 750. Not quite enough to get me this ultimate, just barely. He is gonna activate this enhanced mode, which is actually quite nice. I'm just gonna let my Silver Wolf take the hit, because the MOC debuff actually helps us clear a couple of those bugs. So if I were to go in like this, I can then save my EMC ultimate afterwards. So this will instantly be applied back into my Silver Wolf for the fastest possible return to the ultimate state. Alright, gets us our hidden MMR back. We do have to cast my skill. Huan Huan is gonna be able to pop this, gets a little bit more energy regeneration. And then once we get off our next Aha instance, we should be looking at 60 stacks right here, because that's gonna be guaranteed 15. Alright, that's gonna be 20, and then this is gonna be 84, plus the original punchline, which is very, very good. And then now we can start dealing our real damage. Right, 70 stacks right off the bat. And then we are gonna be getting our enhanced bounce state as well. So all this is gonna be single target damage, and that is gonna be very, very nice. So another 20 punchlines, which will then funnel back into Silver 9's hidden MMR. Goes in for the blast. About 938k, which is quite good. Huan Huan, you're just gonna cast your skill so I can get my ultimate up as fast as possible. And then hopefully I can actually pop open one more elation skill here. So that is gonna be giving us a little bit higher damage. Very, very good. So 135 here, which means we do get the full stacks of the enhanced basic attack multiplier. Just for, oh, this is a lot higher. Holy 2.4 million damage coming right off the get-go. We are actually probably gonna be looking at a clear with one last EBA. Okay, this is definitely gonna be a clear with our final EBA at 184 stacks. Very, very easily getting us the overkill. So I would say that with this particular test, the damage differential is gonna be a lot more substantial when you look at the comparisons between Sparxie as well as Yao Guang. Once again, tying back to my original point in my Silver 9 guide, where the damage amplification from Yao Guang as well as the punch lines generation from EMC, it can drastically outperform the usage role for Sparxie as of this current moment, right? So that is gonna be pretty much that for Memory of Chaos. And now I'm just gonna be doing one last showcase for APOC Shadows. This, keep in mind, it is definitely gonna be quite shield for Elation as a whole, because it is gonna be number 1 SparxiCon, which is gonna be very shield for Elation, and number 2 the boss we have is gonna be pretty much just gonna be for once again Elation, right? So we are gonna be doing the team with once again Sparxie first, alongside Silver 9, and then we're just gonna do one last round of testing with Yao Guang, and that's where we will end off this video. Where does she prefer? I guess you can't really call it where she prefers Yao Guang or Sparxie more. It is more so that EMC's role can replace Sparxie's better than the replacement for Yao Guang, right? So we are just gonna take a hit over here. Always bring Silver 9 into the domain, no exceptions, and then we are just gonna simply pop this. Alright, Huan is just gonna continuously pop this so that we can get a little bit more of the rest increments to deal a little bit more damage. Alright, this is gonna pop in. Very nice, gets us a little bit more damage. And then we are just gonna pop this back into our Silver 9 for a little bit more hidden MMR. She's gonna get hit here, which is fine. So once this aha instant comes in, we are gonna be able to activate my ultimate right here. Alright, this pops, gets us the additional ultimate, right? Never ever wait for her turn. And then we are just gonna slam everything. Alright, 60-ish%, slams back down 60% on the first hit. SparxiCon, we can just go in for this hit in the open world boss. And keep in mind, this TLB, it will actually be counted towards the Silver 9's damage. So you don't have to worry about this being a waste, right? Alright, so this gives us a start field. We can just activate our ultimate once more, just to get us a little bit more rest pen. Alright, also gets us a little bit more damage, which is quite nice. Huan is just gonna be able to continuously spam our skills. We don't really care about that too much. Pops us this over here. Gets us a little bit more punch lines maximization, so we get more of the free damage, right? Then Silver Wolf should easily get us to maximum stacks. 120 as it has reached. So this EBA definitely should be getting, okay, 2% is actually absolutely fucking diabolical. Okay, critical threshold. Okay, I hope that this EMC will actually get us a kill. Okay, fantastic. So this breaks, and then our Sparxie as well as Silver ultimate damage just go directly to SparxiCon herself. Alright, Honkai damage. Very nice. And then now we're just gonna aim everything towards SparxiCon. Hopefully also getting us the break over here. Okay. A little bit unfortunate that SparxiCon is not going to be getting the Lightning Venus, so it is what it is. But at least she's going to be weak to fire. Once you're going to be spamming Sparxie with Silver 9, you don't have to worry about skill points at all, because you are going to be getting quite a bit of TLB, which will give you quite a lot of skill points back anyways. So this is going to be quite nice. Huan, once again, cast your skills. Always cast your skill. For this portion, we're just going to basic so that we can cast our ultimate. And then if we do get ourselves the Honkai damage to cast off the break, that would be very good for us. Okay, not quite enough to get the break, but if this breaks here, we are going to be getting our ultimate refund, which is going to be exceptional, right? So this pops down. Okay, very good. We are just going to instantly pop this. A little bit unfortunate that my Silver ultimate expired before we could get ourselves an APOC Shadows buff, but it what it do. Gets us off our Huan. not too big of a loss, I would say, because this Aha instance should be getting us the kill, at least with my Silver Wolf's next enhanced spacing. Alright, Sparxie won't do it, but Silver Wolf's EBA here definitely should be able to get us the refund back into 91. SS rating, so this EBA should be dealing substantial damage. 2 million, 3 million, holy shit, that is... Okay, that is quite a decent chunk of overkill damage, so I don't want to do. Then we can instantly bring back my Silver Wolf, so that I can start dealing all this damage to the subfield. Keep in mind this time you can see the elites are going to be 2 chickens, so it's going to be way more tankier compared to our MOC APOC Shadows. So just keep that in mind. EMC always goes for the AoE, so we can get this to the highest threshold as fast as possible. Same thing for Sparxie, so we can slam all of our skill points. Alright, then we're just gonna bomb. Okay, this hits us a little bit, which should be fine. Should be fine. Should all be fine right here. Aha Instant is gonna proc in 35 AV, which is gonna take a little bit. Silver Wolf is then just gonna fly back in for the bomb, which I think should be enough to get us the next ultimate instance on this hit anyways. So that's gonna be fine. Where we're doing to cast my ultimate, or at least as fast as possible. This comes back in for my ultimate here, which gives me a little bit more free MMR. Okay. She's gonna cast her thingy, which doesn't really matter by that much. Then this Aha instance will definitely guarantee me the ultimate from Silver Wolf. Alright, SparxiCon is gonna come in. And then the chickens are gonna be deactivating, which is very, very good. And we're just gonna cast our ultimate, gets us the extra turn, and then we are just gonna slam everything. See if this can actually... I don't think this is gonna be enough to get us to 0%. Okay, that's nowhere near enough, so I don't want to do. Okay, we do damage our own allies with the chicken, so that is quite nice because we did get ourselves the Aha instance. SparxiCon is just gonna continuously get us this, which will help us deal damage in the subfield because of the new mechanic right here. Alright, so this pops down. Very, very good. Alright, very, very good. Okay, hits ourselves again, which is very, very nice. When will just give us a little bit more rest pen. Alright, then we are just gonna slam everything, which I think this should be enough to get us to the full kill, right? Okay, 5% is gonna be a little bit far, just barely scraping by the edge of the teeth over here. Okay, frame rate increase doesn't really matter. This Aha instance will definitely get rid of the subfield, so that shouldn't be too much to worry about. Hopefully Sparkle gets it, so that we can save this for... Okay, that's very, very nice. Sparkle gets the kill, gets us tons of toughness bar damage, then all in towards SparxiCon itself. Gets another free Aha instance after getting out from the subfield. Gets even more toughness bar damage. Alright, very, very good. Alright, very, very good. Then Sparxie is definitely gonna be breaking right here, so we are just gonna go for everything, so that hopefully our Silver Wolf with a whopping 241 hidden MMR can just deal the damage to one shot, right? This gives us the free ultimate regeneration, free damage, free everything. I'll just pop one more Honkai Blast just to all in damage right now. Alright, as much damage as possible. 2 million single target. Gets us another Sparxie ultimate, gets us the Where ultimate for the next rotation. But at this point, it is pretty much gonna be over. So 1624, this is gonna be way, way, way overkill. Holy 6.2 million overkill. So that will be a 3624 action value on the very first wave, or rather the very first site for APOC Shadows against SparxiCon on the Elation Shield boss. Let's see if this is gonna take a little bit of a change or improvement, as we have shown with Yao Guang for the last 2 MOC, and then we'll just end off this video right here, right? So we're just gonna do this. Yao Guang pops in, and then pops in. So exact same thing, bada boom, bada bing. Also, I left my water outside my room, so it is what it is. Okay, once again, the benefit of Yao Guang is that you are able to just slightly edge out SparxiCon, which honestly is really, really good over here. I will just save this elation skill when we enter the subfield, so that I can focus our damage onto the subfield right here. Alright, so this will actually start applying our vulnerability and everything. So it will help us get out of this situation a little bit faster. Alright. We do get the hidden MMR, which means that at this point, my skill actually gets me into ultimate right now. So my EMC's next ultimate would then give me the Honkai Blast, which would help me deal quite a bit faster compared to Sparxie. Alright, 72%. Well, we're just gonna go for the basic as well as the energy regeneration, on top of getting us a little bit more respite. Alright, then EMC gets us a double hit. Alright, and then we are just gonna pop this into the Honkai skill. I should have waited for those two for a little bit more rest, but it is what it is. Alright, this is fine, this is fine. Then the next aha instance is gonna be popping off over here. 41%, 34%, and then this comes back down to 4%. Okay, so luckily for us, because of the way that Silver Knight is going to be working, that as you can see, there are no excess damage. So even if you are going to break at 4%, the rest of the damage will purely focus on the next target, which is honestly very, very nice when it comes to any overkill excess damage, right? So this flies back down for 1.7 million. Very, very good. As well as getting us the next aha instance for one more Honkai Blast. Alright. Yao Guang is just gonna do Yao Guang things for the basic. When is just gonna cast a skill for a little bit more energy generation. Gets us TLB as well, which is quite good. And then we're just gonna spam our skill. Alright. This doesn't matter that much. We still have one more turn of additional damage taken. And we should be easily breaking this on the next aha instance. So it shouldn't be that bad. Okay, this gives us the next aha instance. So once we break this, we are able to get ourselves the free ultimate, which will be very, very nice. Okay, this is honestly a little bit awkward, because if I were to cast my skill, I can't get a break. But if I don't cast my skill and get a break, I don't get my skill. So I think purely just in terms of action value, it makes more sense that I maintain this. Because we are getting Yao Guang action is 53 anyways, which is pretty fast. But the moment she transforms, we are going to be losing that out. Because when she transforms, she'll instantly bring my Silver Wolf in. So, okay, you know what? We are just going to pop our skill here, which is a little bit awkward. I'm not sure if this actually constitutes as a toughness bar break. I don't think so. Yep. So this is definitely not weak to any of the toughness bar. So if we were to pop this here, honestly, I know what I could do. I could give this to Yao Guang, and then I proc her elation skill, and we have the break, which is very, very unorthodox, but I guess it is not that bad. Because, okay, Silver Wolf definitely gets a break here. It is just a little bit wasteful Yao Guang over there, so it is what it is. Okay, we still get this off. At least we get ourselves a free refund on the Elation Trailblazer. And we'll see if this Honkai Blast can actually get us the kill right here. Okay. Okay, Honkai Blast. Okay, one Honkai Blast is 1.8 million, so this Honkai Blast will definitely get us the kill, bringing us into the next phase at 1847. Okay, bro is going to transform right here. We are also going to be at 126, which means we have the highest multipliers for my EBA. This is going to do a bit of AoE, which is fine. Gets us the additional turn, saves us 50 action value, and then we're just going to slam everything into the subfield immediately, right? Okay, very, very good. Okay, all this is just going to be focusing damage on Silver, which actually can be a little bit scary. But luckily, Huiwen did get a Nova Flare, so we should not be dying over here whatsoever, right? Gets us a little bit of rest and increase. Alright, then we are just going to slam all of our damage into the next aha instance. So we are going to be getting one more of the big blast over here. This aha instance is going to be proccing, so I'll be getting back my hidden MMR. Alright, a little bit more, a little bit more. Regenerates this as well, and then bro is going to give me the punchline because of the way the chicken works, which honestly is very, very nice for Silver Wolf, so I can instantly hop back into action with essentially 0 downtime. It's just I don't get an additional multiplier for my EBA, which is this hit over here, but it is going to be fine. When goes for the basic again for a little bit more rest pen, and then EMC always casts a skill, gets a double. TLB also procs, which is quite nice. And then once Yao Guang casts a basic into my Sparxie, this should be pretty much a game zone, I believe. Alright, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 10% remaining. Huang goes in for the basic over here. So this aha instance will definitely get us the kill. Right, this is 100% going to be getting us the kill. 10%, slaps this on. 8%, alright. 6%, then Honkai Blast goes in. Fantastic. So this gets us the break out from the field. Get a free aha instance right here. Our energy is honestly really awkward. So if only my Huang actually went for a little bit more skill instead of basics, I could have saved me quite a decent chunk of damage, if I can say so myself here. I would say at this point, I'll just go for this. Alright. Then after Yao Guang casts a skill into the ultimate, we should be getting us a break, which means we can refund all of my stamina once again, or rather energy. Right? So TLB goes in for a little bit more toughness, more damage. Then this pops out for a little bit more damage here as well. Alright. And then this is gonna come back down. Silver Wolves comes back in for the blast. Okay. And then once this EBA goes in, we are gonna be getting off the break right here. Which is gonna be just barely. Oh boy. Okay. I would say that this run, it honestly could have been a lot better if I actually just skipped out on Huang's basic and I just permanently spammed Huang's skill. Because if I would have spammed Huang's skill and cast my ultimate, there were two several occasions where my ultimate was not up fast enough, which led to the energy becoming very awkward, right? So as you can see over here, this is a very weird amount. At least I get to slam this back in. And we do get ourselves the kill here, definitively speaking. Alright, we're just gonna pop this here, get ourselves a little bit more aha instance, pop this, and then I'm just gonna let AI do the rest of the work, right? But with that, I think we've pretty much come into the end of our showcase between Yao Guang as well as Sparxie. Like, which one does Silver 9 prefer more? If you are only going to be having one, and then the other one you're just going to be using EMC as the replacement, right? I would say, generally speaking, for most scenarios, if you're not strictly talking about like action value, because APOC Shell's action value is really dependent on the specific timings of the break as well as energy generation, which will save you a lot of score. But just from raw damage, as you guys would have seen from Memory of Chaos, Yao Guang definitely helped us quite a decent chunk more, comparatively speaking. So this is going to be the Silver 9 build over here, E0S1 right here, right? This is going to be E0S1 as well. We could definitely make our Yao Guang a little bit faster if we have better builds in that department. Then this is going to be our, okay, I am a little bit blind here, Sparxie at 138 speed on speed boots, as well as EMC on 170 running the Herda S5, right? For the relics here, if you want to, you could definitely go for 4-piece Eagle, so you can just get a little bit more action if you want to min-max. But overall, I would say, hopefully this video has been a little bit helpful as to see what are the differences between either Silver Wolf running Sparxie or Yao Guang in your current setup, and maybe this will help you with your pulling decisions in the future. If you are missing both elation units, you just pull Silver Wolf and are wondering, okay, if they were to rerun, which one should I get first? But before this video ends, I just want to say one last thing, which is, definitely speaking, our best in slot is still going to be Sparxie and Yao Guang, right? So do not think that EMC is going to be considered a upgrade. It is at best a very minor side grade, but in the best case scenario, definitely going to be having both in the same team. And on top of that, we are not too sure how our last elation slot is going to be fielding, which is the sustain, right? Because if our last elation slot is going to be an elation unit for sustain, it means that Yao Guang's value can actually go up even higher because of the additional aha skill, which will prop every single elation skill, right? And if this elation also gives us a little bit more like punchline generation, it will further diminish Sparxie's utility to generate punchlines. So I will leave that up into the future. Word of the day is gonna be cooked GPU. Join this, go join. Use code POKE for 10% off game stuff. All the best for guys and fools, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.